Hello, and welcome to Unfiltered and Overloaded, the podcast where the volume is high and the filters are certainly off, as you'll probably discover today, and the vibes are very, very neurodivergent. This is the space where autism and ADHD run the mic and often run amok. LGBTQ plus voices take centre stage, and being too much is actually the whole point. We're talking real life, real chaos, real feelings with humour, honesty, and just the right amount of dramatic flair, according to us. Expect laughs, hot takes, and conversations that bounce around faster than ADHD brain at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so buckle up, stim freely, be yourself, unapologetically, and get ready, because this is Unfiltered and Overloaded, and episode 5 starts right now. Hi, Croy.
Hiya, how are you?
Well, first of all, thank you for being patient. So guess who's time awareness and time blindness just flourished today? Guess who got into that space where I needed to sort something out at the gym? Well, I just take that moment to do it. I've got plenty of time, and then I can go to the gym, and then I have a swim, and then sit in the sauna, and then get ready. Except my calculation was gym, swim, and sauna. I'd forgotten that it would take an hour to get things sorted out at the gym, and of course my time frame was just like, I'm fine. And then I saw your message and thought, I'm like late, like really late. The adrenaline that ran through me when I realized I was late for this recording was hilarious. So yeah, you know what? Sometimes as professionals, we can look like swans on the surface. And my goodness, sometimes our feet get tangled up in the weeds.
Yes,
Thank you so much for being patient with me.
okay, I was sitting here thinking she's either forgotten or she's either gone out or it's an ADHD thing. And we get it, don't we? Because we know what it's like. We know how time suddenly gets away from us and we think we've got enough time to do it. Or you'll just sort of say to yourself, I'll just nip into the shop. I'm just going for one item. And suddenly there's more things that stand out to you. And suddenly you start picking up a whole basket. So no, I get it. I mean, I was sat here waiting patiently on the computer, like, la 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 la. I wonder where she is.
You know what I discovered today? It takes me 15 minutes to get changed from the gym into the pool. I don't understand that, because I can wake up realizing it's 10 minutes to go for my first teaching session, and I can be teeth based, washed, dressed with a drink and everything within that 10 minutes. So I'm not sure quite what happened to those 15 minutes. And I didn't realize it'd taken an hour to get this whole lot sorted out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I have no sense of time, but I mean, yeah, it's like I couldn't work out why it took me so long to get into my swim kit and into the pool. But I have to admit, the 25 minutes in the sauna was delicious. It was what my body needed. I really needed it. And I'm surprised I'm not looking like a beetroot. Normally with that sort of thing, I come out with these bright red nose, bright
Yeah.
red face, and then I get these white patches that just haven't caught up with the rest of me. But I must admit, it was what I needed. I've been working really long hours this week, trying to do budgeting and accounts and everything else. And I've gone down rabbit holes, but I've discovered some great things en route. But I really needed to chill out. And I think I went into chill zone. I've got all the time in the world. So, Croy, as I said, patience of a saint. We're here.
We are.
And yeah, I think it's been quite interesting. I'm discovering, and I don't know, it may be a topic for another time, but transitioning from one place to another, one headspace to another, going from work into accounts, into budgeting, and then back into work, and then things with the family, and then things with my special interests, my LARPing and that. And it's like I've had a lot of these things requiring me to transition very quickly, and it's like, and I'm having a bit of a challenge on the
Mhm.
transitioning from one space to another at the moment. Like once I'm in my office, I'm in my safe space, I'm in my warm space, and then the transition from out of my office to the rest of the house can be kind of like, yeah. So I think that may be a topic for another time. I don't know, because I think I've got a feeling that you've got something up your sleeve today.
I have
You
got
got that look on your face. I can tell. I can tell.
I've got a few things, but I think just to touch on that transitioning, it's coming up to my favorite season of the whole year, spring. I don't know what it is about spring, but I just get more energy, more life. and I start seeing things happening. And this is where my kind of impulse side, Philip, comes into play and starts doing things that I'm not sure why he does them, but he's playing. Okay. So I think there is something about transitioning. And like you say, sometimes, like when I work with clients, I will see clients sometimes back to back because I can work that way really
Yeah.
well. But there are other times where I do need a bigger gap. But then I recognize that if I start too long or people cancel and maybe it's gone from 11 till like 3 before I have anyone,
Yeah.
that is really hard to then get motivated and get in that headspace because the routine has changed. And
Yeah.
also, it sounds like, oh, great, you've got that morning off. But actually, I'm waiting for that 3 o'clock appointment the whole day. The whole day, I'm just sitting there going, is it 3 o'clock yet? I need to be ready for 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, you know?
And I also find that I get a bit concerned if I go into something quite deep, that I'll suddenly forget the time and realize I'm 10 minutes late, which has happened a couple of times. And so I now have to put timers up. So I've now got alerts and notifications to remind me 15 minutes before and it's like, okay, wrap up, breathe, and giving myself that time. So I'm
Yeah.
switching headspaces all the time. And I enjoy it and I love it and I can do that. But sometimes I just need to zone out for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I've even had my phone on the desk and I've just put in 10 minutes, an alarm, and put my head on the desk and closed my eyes,
Yeah.
power napping.
Now, you see, if what I do is in between clients, if I have that time, even if it's 5 minutes, I will just scroll. Facebook Reels are my favorite thing right now, just to get that little bit of dopamine fix, just to make me
Yeah,
laugh or cry or whatever it is I need
yeah.
to do to then feel fresh and ready to hold the next client, you know?
Actually think there's a lot, a lot of people go, oh, doom scrolling, like Facebook, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Do you know what? I don't like the word should. It's a word built for guilt, i.e., shame on you. And it's like, no, I do that. I've got this little game where I have to organize all the different shapes and pop them and get them and build them up. And then I have to get so many items. But it's the sort of thing as well I can just put down. But you're right. Sometimes neurodivergency, I think, requires a bit of different ways of working. Sometimes, as you say, we need those little bits of dopamine hit. Or sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, yeah, I just need to laugh at something.
Yeah.
I just need, because some of the little reels of the comedians that they put up, I just need a 1 minute laugh at something and go, oh my God, that's so funny. And I think it's a tool, and it's up to us and how we
Mhm.
want to use those tools. Facebook is a tool. If it governs your life, then there's possibly a bit of a problem, maybe. But social media in many respects has really given so many people a community that they were missing.
Yeah.
So many people who are disabled, who are agoraphobic, people who are struggling to find connections, and then they meet people who have similar issues. But I think, I know that it's for quite a lot of people, it's helped them find community. Well, I think it's having toolboxes and strategies, little toolboxes. You can go, oh yeah, I can pick that out. And that's going to put a smile on my face. Whatever it is, these little bits, these tools are so useful. And
Yeah.
does it matter if you decide to use a screwdriver to open up a tin of paint?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's it. I mean, I'm very aware right now, this is off topic as we usually do, but I have a very itchy ear because I have trimmed the hairs in my ear and I can still hear the vibration of the thing. And it's so annoying. Like when you go to the hairdressers and they go behind your ear,
Yeah.
there is like a spot where they right behind the ear with the clippers, and I'm like, "Oh, I feel my whole body vibrating," and it's like yeah, I mean, the hairdresser we go to now in Boston, lovely, got a sensory space and everything, and it just makes me feel calmer, to see that. Now, we spoke about accessibility and that. So I found, as we do when we're scrolling, I find some news articles, and there's a couple that I want to talk about. So you know nothing about what's coming up, which is quite exciting. So this first one is a lady from Hull who is a mum, okay? And we spoke about using the disabled toilets and that kind of yeah, yeah, I can see by your face, where we're kind of going with this. And for want of a better word, you wouldn't know that she has a disability. Okay, so like us, we look pretty normal to, well, I hope we look pretty normal to most people. And she's talking in this article about how she's had lots of funny looks, lots of tuts, lots of, why are you using the disabled toilet? You shouldn't be going in there. And this links to another little reel that I saw where this guy was going to use a disabled toilet. And for some reason, this place had a warden, and this female warden went up to him and actually said, You're not allowed to use that toilet. And he challenged her and was like, why? What is it that you're seeing? And she was like, no, 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 it's for special people. It's for disabled people. You can't use it. She didn't see the disability, nor did she have any training to understand the side of invisible disabilities. So going back to this woman, she has literally had to take her clothes down to reveal the stoma bag. And it just infuriates me. Like, I am aware myself so after the gym, usually we go to Starbucks because it's close by. There are other coffee shops. We go to Starbucks to get a nice coffee, and I always use the disabled toilet. But I know the minute I go for the door, I am on high alert. I am waiting for the day where someone's going to say, you can't use that toilet. And I wondered how you feel about hearing this and whether you have that feeling when you use disabled toilets as well.
Yeah, my disabilities again are hidden. I'm having to work really hard on my body to help it rebuild.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of, a lot of issues that weren't diagnosed until very late in life, and it's left me with all sorts of interesting, complicated issues. But I'm hypermobile as well, which has it's part of the islet download syndrome, which is a collagen issue, which affects not just your ligaments and tendons, but all the kind of connective tissue within your body. It impacts your digestive system, and I didn't get diagnosed with that. I got diagnosed with hypermobility and fibromyalgia, but when you look at the whole package, it looks very much like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And, that means digestive issues. I've got patella in my knees that will just suddenly move for no reason. And the last thing I want to do is get stuck in a normal toilet and not have a red cord to pull to say, I can't move.
Yeah.
You can be fine. And then one day you need access to a toilet now.
Yeah.
You can't stand in a queue.
No.
Otherwise they can clear up.
Yeah.
So I've actually had to buy my own radar key. And I'm happy to have my sunflower lanyard with all my disabilities on the back and my key. But yeah, I mean, I can look really as if I'm taking the mick. If I'm wearing my high-heeled Doc Martin platform boots with my black jeans, but it doesn't mean I don't have a disability. I do, but I sometimes get worried because I know that I go on high alert, and I already find myself as I'm heading in, and especially when I'm going, I'm already preparing the script.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm already preparing the script.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think that's the thing is, like, even with my blue badge, I think I get away with the blue badge because my partner is older. He won't mind me saying that than me, as some gay couples are. And people think it's his badge. They would never, ever sit there and go, that's Croy's badge. That's the younger one's badge.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of almost saves me. I do know people that will not get blue badges because of that fear of, what if I get accosted? Because, for want of a better word, and I hate this word, whatever normal is, but we look normal. So I get out of the car and it's like, yeah, but actually walking through that crowd of people just to the supermarket is really difficult. I will say the disabled toilets are usually cleaner. Okay. The men's toilets, I hate to say this about my fellow man, but they stink. They are dreadful places. And that's another sensory issue. You are hit with that strong smell and it is terrible, so
Yeah.
getting all these things. But again, it's the fact of you've had to also pay for your radar key when it kind of should be almost with the blue badge, like we spoke about last time, that made me so irate. It's like, why are these not given to us? Why can't we almost get them on prescription, for free? These should be, well, here's your diagnosis, here's
Yeah.
your welcome pack. Give us something rather than asking us to constantly pay, live in fear all the time, having to deal with all these tuts and things like that. We shouldn't have to degrade ourselves like that. It's not right.
I think we've got, over the years and over the decades, I've seen that there's been more and more rhetoric through the media and people in politics
Hmm.
who are creating a lot of this blame culture
Yeah,
that it's not fair, but it's done in a way that's like they're actually trying to divide everybody up. So we had this whole rhetoric about all these people on PIP or disability, and almost making them out as if majority of them are just faking it. You're going to get a few people who will try.
of course. Yeah.
The rest of us, 9 times out of 10, I talk. Oh, no, actually, no, I'll correct that. I've talked to a lot of people who are disabled who A, don't claim PIP because they can't cope with the humiliation of the process.
Yeah.
B, they feel like they've given in to their disability or their medical conditions. But C, they've already known judgment about it and they don't want to be seen as a scrounger.
Yeah.
So benefit scrounger. I mean, that kind of language. And I'm thinking, and I know people who are in poverty and really struggling. And, they're amazing people individually who give so much of their time to other people who care, the people who help people by doing different things during the week for them. But their medical conditions, their disabilities mean that they can't do it routinely. They crash. They have 3 weeks where they're in bed. But when they are able, they will give. They will give as volunteers. They will care. I mean, the number of carers who are disabled, and they're so busy caring for the other disabled member of the family, they haven't even got their own needs met.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon for carers to break down.
Mm.
When I think about it, it's this language of them and us. Oh, they're everyone's a scrounger. Everyone's trying to cheat the system. That's not true. There may be people, but you can't label everybody. It's
No.
like, if you have a bad experience as a woman with men, don't write off all the men.
Yeah.
You know, some of the closest friendships and relationships, the longest ones, are platonic, brother-like relationships with me. They are amazing men in my life. Rough relationships, but I've also had some amazing men in my life.
Yeah.
And just because I'm a woman doesn't mean all the women are great. Some of them, I've got some great women friends, but I've had some that have really, hurt my life and damaged things. If someone's going to a disabled toilet, 9 times out of 10, they've already gone through the script in their head, waiting for someone to challenge them
Yeah.
because they're anxious.
Yeah.
You might get the odd one or two who are generally not disabled and can't be asked and don't give a monkeys to what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
We judge the elderly that they're incompetent. They're not.
Mm.
I love the whole rhetoric around the elderly saying, it's everyone's pushing to be looking young,
Yes. Yeah.
and often people dismiss older people as not up to date, not contemporary, not relevant. Oh, but then they're now to be working until they're 70. So
Yeah.
what do we class as elderly now? Are we classing 70 plus?
Yeah.
But surely we've all got things to bring and to give. Surely we've all got abilities and capacities, but we're all varied. Why should we judge people on how they do things as long as they're not harming anybody else or the environment or creating pain or suffering or exploiting? As long as people are compassionate, how about we just accept people for who they are?
Yeah. This is the problem. Even when, so I got a form from the dentist because I'm going to the dentist next week. Big phobia about dentists. Of course, I'm autistic. I hate them, the noise, the sound. But the form that came with it was so many pages long about, do you want this? Do you want this? It actually went into asking me about facial kind of stuff. It actually asked, do you want to look younger? And I was like, am I having my teeth done, or where am I going? Like, if I go to the supermarket and I go to the fruit section, I expect to find fruit. I don't want to, like we spoke about ages ago, I don't want to find light bulbs. I want to find fruit. I need, and then they turn to us and go, no, oh, you've got autism, you're the weird one. And you're like, no, hold on a minute. Ask me the question. And I was going through all this medical stuff, and nowhere did it say, are you neurodivergent?
Yeah.
Just like all these questions about liver and heart and all this medical stuff. Okay, great. But where's the question about, do you need any extra support? This is the box where you can tell us what you actually need.
Yes.
And there was nothing. And it was like 8 pages. And, we're talking about support and accessibility. We couldn't really bypass the Merlin pass with Alton Towers that they're kind of backtracking on now. But my God, when the comments I saw from people as to, can you not just stand still? That's that word again. can you?
Just.
Yes.
I just want to take it apart.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just so, just like comments. And I know some of them are bots and we have to look at them, but just people not understanding that we all have different needs.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about, yes, we might be able to stand for a while. I can stand in a queue, but actually, it's going to depend on who's in front, who's behind. Have you got perfume on? Is that perfume too strong? Are you talking too loudly? How many people are in this queue? What's the time frame? Because if I'm at the back of a queue, I'm already rehearsing what I need to say to that person in the kind of booth. And I will keep saying that over and over again, and it will change every time I hear the person in front say something different. So to hold on to that thought for all that time is just too much. And people going, oh, well, you're just queue jumping anyway. What is wrong with people? How many, I'm sitting here with autism on my shirt today because I feel like I have to say it. How many more times do we have to wave the flags and go, we are here? We are really good at what we do. We can function. Yes, we have meltdowns and shutdowns, but I also think neurotypicals have this sort of thing as well. It's just ours is more heightened.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about sensory. Okay, there's a couple of things in my mind.
Yeah,
First of
go
all,
for
it's
it.
really common for autistic people. Let me rephrase that. People with autism and people with ADHD, let alone both of them, toilets are an issue. And when they are assessing, one of the questions they ask is that, do you have problems getting to the toilet on time? Why? Because often they are hyper focused, unaware, time. They can be so not connected to their body in that respect because they are their sensory, they've had such sensory overload, or there's so much sensory stuff going on in one way that
Mm,
that internal sensory system hasn't triggered until it's an alarm. And you can, I mean, in my household, I mean, you just get a whole group of neurodivergent people together, and all of a sudden someone will say, sorry, gotta go to the loo. And you see, and it's really normal because you need to make way and you need to make sure they get to the loo and go, the closest one's there, right? And it's like, because often there's a real lack of body awareness
yeah,
until it hits. And often for some of them, it won't hit until they actually move to do something else. And then they will realize they need a wee, they need a drink, they need food. And oh my goodness, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they haven't, yeah.
yeah,
And it's like their brain goes, I want food, but the body's going, no, I'm heading to the loo straight away because, and God help you if you're in between them and the loo. And don't even think about queuing.
yeah,
And I mean, I think sometimes people don't understand that they'll think, well, you just need to be aware of it. Yeah, I really would like to be aware of it,
yeah,
but I'm not aware of it until it's like saying, well, didn't you see that? No, I didn't see it. So if I didn't see it, I didn't see it. If I didn't feel it, I didn't feel it. You wonder why going to the toilet has kind of gone by the by until the alarm bells are going.
yeah.
And it's they wouldn't have it on a diagnostic interview and assessment sheet. Do you have problems getting to the toilet in time?
Mm,
They wouldn't put it there unless it was a problem
yeah.
in itself, let alone, I mean, I know people who've got stomas and stoma bags. And I mean, one in friend in particular was saying how the best brand has been discontinued.
Wow.
The best model and brand has been discontinued. The brand's still there, but they've discontinued. They said it was the best one, but they're no longer giving it out because it's too expensive.
Ugh,
All the others leak more.
yeah.
They may look normal, but now all the community can't access this amazing stoma bag that was brilliant. They've now having to put with the also ran, which means they can get in a mess more. Hello, people who make stoma bags, listen up, let's have
Yeah.
them that work. I mean, can you imagine a young woman or a young man trying to feel sexy but still have a stoma bag? They're now having to face wearing ones that are going to make a mess and leak in the bed or suddenly when you're driving. Just it's hard enough growing up. It's hard enough trying to hold your dignity when you have disabilities. But
Yeah.
when you have stuff like that, IBS, celiac, there
Yeah.
is nothing worse for a celiac than have contaminated food. And then one day when that happens, whether you're slow reactive or fast reactive, there's a toilet issue. Make way, otherwise you're going to know about it.
Yeah. I mean, my mum was diagnosed with Crohn's. She's no longer with us. I spent it must have looked really weird, but I spent most of my teenage life outside a female toilet. Could not go hardly anywhere. And it was just that thing of, again, because it's invisible, people don't understand. And that's the thing is, we see all these posters around the thing about cancer and all these things. They're important, but actually, let's get people to understand that we look like this. That disabled kind of badge symbol that's in a wheelchair, we look like this. And we've got to start there. And I know other countries do actually change the symbol. And it's just like, why can't we make all toilets, similar? Make them disabled ones because they're a lot cleaner. There's a lot more space, and just kind of work with it. And let's work with the wording.
Yeah, why? Because there's an awful lot of mums with babies who have to use a disabled toilet. Why call it the disabled toilet? Why can't we call it the accessible toilet?
Yes.
Simple language, the accessible toilet. Let's not call it because the last time I checked, most toilets aren't disabled. And if they're disabled, they need a bloody plumber to come out and fix.
Yeah.
And I wish someone could just fix some of my disabilities. It would make my life so much easier.
Well, you talk about that. I want to ask you if you could, and this is a personal question, if you could get rid of the disabilities, the conditions, whatever you want to call them, how would you feel if somebody today, after diagnosing you, took them away?
God, I've been living with them so long. I mean, if I had a choice of the ones I'd like to have gotten rid of, if I had a choice, it'd be the celiac disease
Mhm,
and the fibro.
mhm,
But if something happened and took away, it's interesting because
mm,
don't know. To me, because I was diagnosed so late in life, I was what? Wow, I was what, 55, 56 when I got diagnosed with ADHD.
mhm,
And then I was 61, almost 61 when I got diagnosed with autism.
yeah,
I mean, I'm also multisensory aphantasic, which means I have jack shit in my head as a sketch pad or a mental frame box for things. Wow. I think I'd like to have my eyesight proper.
yeah.
And I think the dyslexia, but I don't know. I mean,
What
they
about,
don't define who I am,
yeah,
but they explain why why things in the world around me have been so unutterably challenging.
what if someone suddenly said you
Oh, I
don't fit
don't
the
know.
criteria anymore? If they suddenly said to you, okay, Jays, you no longer fit the criteria of ADHD and autistic, we're undiagnosing you. How would that feel for you?
Well, it just means that life actually did screw me up, and it wasn't it wasn't all my fault.
So why I bring this up is there is actually a doctor
Yeah.
who is de-diagnosing people with ADHD, actually taking away the label, taking it away. People go to see this certain doctor. I don't want to mention the name because I haven't done any research on them, but I've seen the post. And people are kind of going, saying they no longer fit the criteria. And it just made me think about, wow, what would I do if someone took it away? Because it answers so many questions to me. And
Yeah. I could see why. Now, it's interesting you say that. I do know of people who had trauma as children,
Mhm,
a lot of trauma and a lot of bullying, and their behavior as a consequence got diagnosed as ADHD or borderline personality or autistic or whatever. But as they grew up and got therapy and support, they realized a lot of the behaviors then disappeared. But they'd been medicated up to the eyeballs, they'd had this, they'd had that, it'd been a label and a stigma. And they felt that that no longer fitted them. So they went back and asked, can I have a reassessment? Because I'm now wondering whether it was the trauma that created certain behaviors,
yeah,
but am I really?
yeah,
And I can understand that. And I think, you see, this is why it took so long for me to go for my diagnosis, because I wanted to do the legwork on the trauma,
mhm,
spiritual abuse, the spiritual damage that happened in various ways that left me so deeply ashamed. But also I had a lot of things happen in my life that were circumstantial. They were what I call environmental circumstance stress factors. And I
yeah,
had to literally, being as scientific in my thinking, I had to delete the various variables. What were all the variables that could impact this? I needed to deal with the independent variables. And I think it's when I got to 2019 and I just thought, I have tried everything.
Mhm.
And I sat back and I looked at myself and I thought, right, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I'm working, and now having worked with a lot of people with ADHD and come up with this idea of intention, I sat down and I thought, I have the intention. What is wrong with me? Because I've got the energy, I've got the motivation, but where is the connect? It was like, as my eldest has said, it was like mental quadriplegia.
Mhm.
It was like, I may look functional, I may have all my arms and legs, but there's a disconnect in the neurological system, which means you cannot communicate to your limbs to move.
Yeah.
And it felt as bad as that. It was like, I can't move to do it.
Mm.
And in the end, I was almost suicidal. And I just sat there and I thought, I'm going to find the money and I'm going to get privately diagnosed, assessed. I don't want to wait. I just need to know.
Yeah.
And I went and I did the QBE test at the ADHD Foundation in Liverpool. And then I got assessed privately during COVID fully because I did the QBE and it came out as high.
Mhm.
And then I got with a psychiatrist that's linked to the foundation. And then I spoke to him in the August and he went, yeah, with knobs on. And I
Yeah.
said, why has it been so bad in this? He said, well, when did you? He said, well, your menopause started in 2008. He said, it's because you hit the menopause and your estrogen has gone.
Yeah.
And he said, and for women, the estrogen is a control mechanism, is a hormonal, it adds to the brain's endorphins. It adds, this is why in boys, they don't have so much estrogen at all, as much. That's why it's so more obvious when they're younger because they don't have it. This is why a lot of guys, as they get older, especially when they get much older, it seems to be more manageable.
Yeah.
When they go through menopause, it just takes the lid off ADHD. It was like something had gone feral in my brain.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got my ADHD diagnosed, the day I took the medication, it was like, oh my God, yes. And with the ADHD meds, then my HRT, I started to wake up out of this nightmare that I was living in.
Mm.
And that's when I began to see the signs of autism
Wow.
being there all the time.
Yeah.
The literality, the over trusting, and then understood then why all the sensory stuff, why labels irritate the hell. I don't like seams, and then having that as a diagnosis, it just sat there and I looked through my life and went, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
If you would turn around and tell me I wasn't, well, they could take it away from me, but it wouldn't stop me from being who I am.
Yeah.
I know that having my ADHD meds brings to me a sense of processing. It helps me connect the intention to the capacity to act. And without that, I would really struggle.
Yeah. It's really interesting because when I saw this, I was like, huh, would I, I've never wanted to get rid of it. And I never would. As much as, yes, if you can take away the meltdowns and the shutdown, sure. But actually, that lets me know that I'm human and that I feel and that maybe I need to look after myself a bit more because it is overwhelm. It is too much. And my partner has got used to when it's kind of almost going to happen. Because if I get frustrated over something, I will constantly talk about it. That's how I work. That's how I process stuff. I need to talk it through once, then I'll work out a new thing and bring that in, and then I have to play it through again. I go through it's almost like the war scenarios. I'll play through every kind of possible outcome and then look at, okay, how do I get there? And I knew this from a very kind of my teenage years when I would go maybe like to a cafe and there'd be one table free right at the back. I would constantly stand at the door and be like, how am I going to get there? What if I get there and someone pushes their chair out and I fall over? What if that coat over there? What if I trip over that coat? And I'm already playing through 300 different scenarios. And then I just go, do you know what? I can't bother. I'm not going to even approach that table. It's too difficult. It's too many things. And the signs are there. Like I remember when my dad, let's call him my dad for now. My dad would use a wall drill and it had a certain frequency. And all my family will tell you, I would stand there like this, fingers in the ears. Now I can look back at it and go, autistic, why do you not see it?
Because it's all that sensory, that's sort of hypersensitivity to sound and light
Yeah.
and touch. And it is. And I think it's now I see diagnoses as signposts, but I also think not labels, but signposts to understanding. But I also think where at one time humanity had more space to roam, things were slower, they were less flashing, lighting, music. There was less sensory input. And I'm wondering whether a lot of the challenges that we now face is because, as I've said before, I think we're the canaries in the mine, who are sensitive to when things are not good, when
Yeah.
things are becoming toxic. And I think it's a case of like, it's not just an us thing, it's a societal thing. We're not making things accessible for the disabled,
Yeah.
on what shape, colour, or form they are.
Yeah.
Disabled people aren't a burden. They can be some of the most creative, productive, and amazing people given the chance. Because why? Because they have to be creative. They have to be problem solvers. They have to navigate. They are often more self aware. They have to try and navigate. They
Yeah.
become often good communicators. They're people who develop a capacity and a resilience to deal with change and challenges.
Yeah.
And I think, a lot of people I'm hearing now, because of the age I am, talking about all the problems about growing old. Well, I've had all of those problems most of my life. So, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, well, fine. I don't know what I'm dealing with. I'm going to grow old as disgracefully as possible.
Yeah. I'm just thinking how great it would be if they could, I don't know, let's put this idea out to, I guess Apple is the kind of height of technology right now. They can do blood pressure with their watches, tell you when you're having this. So I'm just thinking, come on, Apple. Let's put this idea out there of give us a thing in your watches that tells us when we're having, a shutdown or a meltdown, or at least warn us down so we know we can get to safety. I'm reminded of Mary Poppins when the guy's firing the cannon and they're all like, places everybody so that the vases don't smash. And I'm thinking, if I could say to Ryan, my partner, and just go, okay, in about 5 minutes, meltdown is incoming. Put away the valuables, put me somewhere safe, get the music ready, get the soothing stuff ready. We're going for it. And then to also know how long it would last, because some of them are really bad,
Yeah.
and just to know what to do. I mean, the more we talk about it, it's great because obviously other people, the neurotypicals, people in our lives, then know how to almost handle us because we can't always talk for ourselves in those moments, and
And it
sometimes,
makes it worse as well.
yes.
And they say, "Talk to me, tell me what's going on." And the next thing is you explode because
Hmm.
there's no words. A lot of the time, just for everybody, doesn't matter whether you're neurodivergent or not, we are now so disconnected from ourselves that we don't actually respond to our bodies. Body often processes signals faster than our minds.
Yeah.
That little gentle ick, that little gentle ugh, kind of tightening tension, they don't notice because we're always constantly on the run. We're always constantly dealing with big red flags. So
Yeah.
we often don't notice, like going back to going to the toilet, those little things. It's like, yeah, there was a little sign maybe an hour or two ago that maybe I could go to the loo, but I didn't body with now I pick it up the more I've done that work. I mean, touch therapy is amazing. And this is
Mm.
why again I've done that because it teaches you to connect with yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it's all about touching everybody else on tantrums about this sex and that. It's so much more. It's about reconnecting your mind, your body, your emotions, but also your consciousness into yourself.
Yeah.
And now that I'm connecting more with my body, but then my ADHD meds help me process that.
Yeah.
It helps people to become present and conscious of what is happening. Does it serve? Why have I got a hesitancy? Why? And it helps them to move forward. So I'm finding that my meltdowns and losing the plot has
Mm.
really diminished. And I'm
Yeah.
now starting to pick things up. But along all of that is also giving yourself permission to exit the room. Certainly, I went out for a social and I left early. I said, "Hi guys, I'm going to leave now." I said, "I think I'm socialed out." And they all went, "Yeah, totally understand." Because most of them are neurodivergent and they get it. You can
Yeah.
actually say, "I'm peopled out now. It's been great to meet you all, but I've met my social capacity." Oh, yeah, go for it. Get a nice, quiet,
Yeah.
And when it's validated, when you're seen and you're heard, your body goes into a deeper sense of security. It feels safer in itself. It feels like I can speak out. I can speak my truth. And a lot of times I think about diagnosing people and diagnosing people. It's fine if it comes from a place where you actually go, actually, over my life, da 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 da, but actually, I really feel I'm not. That's fine. But if
Yeah.
it's something because you feel ashamed about it, and you're frightened of getting, I mean, people don't get diagnosed because of the stigma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's worrying.
It is. It's difficult, isn't it? And hard. But I mean, we must kind of bring this to an end, or we will sit here talking.
So here we are, both autistic and ADHD, with a whole load of other complications as well.
Yep.
Would I change who I am? No.
No, nor would I.
Do I have any regrets? No. It's
Yep.
been a life of learning and experience. And wow, I feel privileged to be where I am now. Just, bring on the next 20 odd years. I can't wait to see what chaos I can bring.
Well, this is the thing, is next time we are going to actually meet each other in the flesh.
2 weeks time.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have some fun with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to see you again, Croy.
And you.
Everybody who's listening, we wish you a really fabulous day. And be your glorious, glorious selves, because you are unique and you are precious. And what joy you can bring to this world is just being your best self.